Hello Dabblers, it's JP!
And Floz.
And we're back with a long overdue Hobby With Us video. So, if you're not familiar with what a Hobby With Us video kind of is, we both do our hobbies. I'll be painting miniatures.
And I'll be cross-stitching.
So if you're interested in watching that kind of stuff while we just talk about what's been going on, then watch on. Let's start off by introducing what we're actually doing. Florina, what are you doing today?
I have this little preview here. It is Napping Kitten by Dimensions Gold Collection Petites. Now, first of all, we have reached 500 subscribers. Hence, we have the community tab. And I made a little post with polls asking what you would like to see in my stitching with me videos. That's not this video, obviously. And surprisingly, a lot of people actually said Napping Kitten. But then also a lot of people said a new start. So I decided to do Napping Kitten for the Hobby With Us video, and for the later on Stitch With Me video, I will do a new start. So that's what I'm doing today.
I mean, ultimately, you get to decide what you want to do. You're just asking people for an opinion on what they might find interesting to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, but you get to choose. Well, I didn't put up any polls. I haven't actually used the community tab yet. If you're not familiar with, I guess people wouldn't know what a community tab is, but it's where we can actually post. So 500 subscribers means you get to actually post text or pictures. It doesn't just have to be videos. Which seems weird. There's a thing you have to unlock on YouTube, because that's like something basic and everything else, but we're finally there, so we can just put up a thing. So yeah, what am I painting today? Well, I'm trying to get into my goblin stuff. And so this is a big rock thrower, which was what it's called in Kings of War, but obviously it's from the very old Warhammer Fantasy range, so this would be 3rd, 4th edition goblins. It's metal, it's heavy. Yeah, and it's the catapult, or the rock lobber, from the old Warhammer fantasy of orcs and goblins. So you can see it's kind of got crazy designs. There's lots of I guess little details that you wouldn't have on a modern orcs and goblins. Not that they exist anymore, but yeah, it looks a bit more just like classic evil and well made, rather than ramshackle, which is what the orcs and goblins aesthetic eventually became. But yeah, it's going to be fun to paint because it is a classic mini, and you know, you only ever see the pictures of this miniature. I'll just put one up if I remember. You know, in the classic old bright colours. I think they used to paint them in red and yellows, and it's just like, whoa. I mean, I guess it's got a charm of its own, but far out does it hurt the eyeballs in how primary those colours are. So I'm going. My whole goblin army is gritty and grimy, and so I'm painting that up gritty and grimy. So I've already put down a it's a zenithal highlighted, which means it's a black undercoat and then sprayed white from above, so you can see some of that still peeking through. And then I've already gone over the wood with the contrast wild wood contrast paint, and that's done a really good job of just getting it all the browns set in. I mean, I'll dry brush and highlight that up to get that nice, you know, you can really see that wood. But now what I'm using is the gunmetal from the War Paints Army Painter range, and I'm just now doing all the, because there's so much metal that's actually holding this thing together, because it isn't ramshackle, it's well made. So yeah, that's what I'm painting here today, because I want to get my goblins done, and you need your shooting in your goblins, and so let's get started with it. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. I haven't, just make sure you can actually see what I'm painting, so I gotta lean forward a little bit. Otherwise people won't be able to see.
I actually have sort of mentioned that we've hit 500 subscribers in my video, but you haven't.
I haven't had a video since we've hit. I mean, I put one out, but I'd already recorded it.
Yes.
So yes, 500 subs. Thank you, guys.
At one point, we weren't sure. Well, actually, at one point, because we reached 100 so quickly, and I'm sure it's partially because like a lot of friends and families were actually subscribing. So we thought, oh, we were going to get there like really quick. But so it turned out that eventually we hit a plateau, and just somehow it looked like we would never get there. And it wasn't really motivating to be honest. But hey, we got there. Eventually, we just, just sort of, I guess, lost the obsession with getting there, and then we got there.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, and if you let your head get stuck in it and you let your ego become part of it, you can really be like, oh, I didn't do that well, or especially at the start when we really hadn't quite figured out how to talk about the fact that we were a diverse channel. Because at the start, Florina would put up a video and it would get some subscribers. Your Stitchy people would come on. And then I would put up a video about Warhammer and then the Stitchy people would disappear. And we're just like, oh, maybe we shouldn't. But then what we were so innovative. Wow. We decided, why don't we just tell people every video that we have other kinds of videos? And I think ever since then, we haven't had so much dips, have we?
Oh, it's randomly.
Oh yeah, you still get it.
Yeah.
That's just normal YouTube though, Some people just like, I don't want these people in my feed. But overall, I think that helped.
Yeah, it definitely did. Sometimes we will forget to mention that, this channel is not owned by one person, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time, now it becomes a routine.
Yeah, it's just second nature. Just say it.
So thank you so much for sticking around, considering this is a pretty weird channel, and you got two very distinctive, very different crowds, I guess, liking different things.
Well, we're all like, just, hobbying. That's what we all like.
Yeah.
We like doing different things, but, some of the things overlap, Some of us really all like dragons, or some of us really all like cats. And so the interests overlap, it's just how we represent that kind of differs. Oh, I'm going to have to tidy some of that up. Whoopsies.
Well, was your hand shaking or something?
Well, it is a metal model.
Too excited. Yeah, so I actually got to hold it. It's rather heavy. That model. And you have quite a few metal models, right?
For my goblins I do, yeah. Because a lot of it's the old Rangers.
They're not easy to come by, right?
Not anymore, no. No one's making the... Games Workshop makes very few metal models anymore.
Too expensive? Too hard to make?
I think they're just... I think they're afraid of... It's a bit of an advanced thing to deal with. Because it's not friendly for a beginner. So they've tried to make nearly as much of their range as possible plastic, especially for Space Marines and stuff. And they've tried to turn everything else that was metal into resin, which is...
Sorry, I'm just struggling with pulling the needle. Because this is an 18 count Ada, and yeah, everything's just a bit dense at the back. Sorry, continue.
I'm a bit dense as well.
Oh, I don't quite understand what you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, it's lots... Not much metal from Games Workshop anymore. Lots of other companies still do metal, because it does serve a very good purpose, and it can be very satisfying to move miniatures around, and you're just like, this little character weighs a ton, and so he feels like he really has a presence on the battlefield. But at the same time, when they fall over and bump something, they can just lose a whole layer of paint because their own weight will just scrape it right off.
Wouldn't they snap as well, or no?
If they've got slender bits, like I have lots of Eldar miniatures that are metal. Oh my gosh, like spears and swords, and yeah, not fun. Goblins, well, I guess they're kind of slender, but the cool thing about goblins is if something snaps and you have to put it back together and it looks a bit shit, a bit bad, sorry, it doesn't really matter because chances are the goblin maybe had it that way the whole time. Whereas, Eldar elves, they have a certain standard when it comes to maintaining their equipment, and they wouldn't have bent stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying the goblins because it's I've been doing all those demons, which also I enjoyed. But a certain crispness of painting was required for those. Whereas these I can be a bit more, slapdash.
Sloppy?
Bit sloppier, yeah, exactly. Because in the end, everything's going to look grimy and stuff. So the pressure's less, but at the same time, and there's double the miniatures to paint. So you win some, you lose some. Which is why I'm not I've already painted about 20 goblins so far. like individual goblins. I painted some trolls, and so after painting some archfiend and stuff, I decided that I needed to ease my way in by going with a war machine, which is a nice single model. So yeah.
Yeah. Aside from thanking everyone for subscribing to this weird channel, we particularly want to talk about, I guess, Greyhound.
Yeah,
Again.
lots of Greyhound content. Apologies if anyone hates animals. We met a butcher the other day who actually just doesn't like animals at all. None of them, not even butterflies. So if you're like her, sorry, some of this video might be a bit
boring,
or you just like freaked out. I think she was freaked out by animals more than bored by them. Anyway, well, everyone knows we've got 2 dogs, right?
I don't know. You've never mentioned it.
Maybe I haven't. We have 2 dogs now.
Yeah, they've multiplied.
They have multiplied, but it means we're rescuing more of them, and they keep each other company when we're not around.
I think originally after Amy passed, we just wanted 1 dog, and then they actually started with a comment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a comment that was left and then deleted. I don't know why the person said the stuff, or like whether it was just trying to upset us, or I don't know. But the person said like, "Oh, so sad Amy has passed, but dogs need company. I hope you don't get a new dog anymore." And because it's deleted, I told JP about it, because I could still see some of the stuff that's deleted, you know, and I think that got JP really upset, and he just kept thinking about, you know, maybe we didn't treat the dog properly, like, you know, maybe the dog was lonely, blah blah blah. So then we started talking about maybe instead of having 1, we should, you know, give them some companionship by adopting 2 instead. But the logistics side of that was a bit, I guess, questionable, because we had 2 dogs for a little while, like 3 weeks or something, and it really like backfired. So we were quite cautious in terms of getting 2 again. So yeah, and then we were just, I mean, the good thing was we got help from I guess you would say some of the experts from like Racing to Rehome volunteers. So then they were like more than happy to help with the whole like, getting the dogs to me to make sure, you know, most likely they're compatible and stuff, and what to watch out for, what might be the most challenging thing, and what you should do in certain situations. And that really gave us a lot more confidence in terms of dealing with 2 dogs. You want to say something?
I want to say something. Yeah, we got the 2 dogs, but I mean, I was concerned that maybe we should have had 2 dogs the whole time before, but Amy really didn't like the company of others all that much. Like, it was always hit and miss with her meeting any dog, even other greyhounds. Sometimes she'd have enough of them and she's like, nah. So I think with Amy it was fine, but yeah, you can't be sure that that's a rare trait in dogs.
Sorry, yeah. I think Rex farted. Oh god.
Yeah, the problem with 2 dogs is it's double the farts. And if you've ever been around canine companions, you know that their farts can be pretty deadly. But anyway, thankfully, this is not 4-dimensional YouTube. This is just 3-dimensional. So you're spared that aspect of our lives. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to get 2, but it's quite rare that 2. Usually, the best way to get is 2 that come together. Like, you know, they're brought up, they're maybe sisters, brothers, or they've just being fostered together, something like that. Like, sometimes you see those, but that's quite rare, and so that wasn't coming up. And then we saw Rex advertised. I talked to Greyhound Safety Net, and they said, "Oh, this dog, you want this dog?" And I'm not sure if they were actually saying it because it was a match for us, but maybe it was because it turns out he is fantastic. But at the time I was thinking maybe it's because he'd been in foster for 6 months, which is a long time for any good dog. Like if they've got problems, 6 months, sure, but this guy's only problem was he was big. That was it. He's just a big dog.
Yeah, they only had one other couple that's looking into it, but I think the couple had kids.
Yeah, they had kids. They weren't even that interested, and so we were saying, oh, because we were unsure because he's 5, and we wanted a dog that was nice and young that we could have forever and ever. But they were like, well, you know, it's no one really else is looking at him, even this other couple, and so it's like, oh, he was just gonna be there. I'm like, oh, and we met him. He was very nice and charming. He's big. He's a big boy, but he was very charming, and so we thought, oh well, we would like to get him, but what really set us on the path of getting 2 was the fact that where he was being fostered had 4 other dogs, and so we thought she couldn't say with any confidence that he would be fine by himself because he's never been by himself in her care. So she's like, well, I'm not sure, you know, it could be that, you know, we go out to work and he'll be alone for the outside for a couple of hours, 4 hours maybe, and he will dig up the whole backyard or panic a lot, so you can't be sure. And so I was like, oh yeah, you're right, because he has had so much company. So what do? Well, we'll get another one, but that means we have to do the hunt of finding one suitable. And so
Actually, I want to backtrack. What happened was, because we adopted Amy from Greyhound Safety Net, and at the time, I think Greyhound Safety Net was probably one of the only other ones aside from Gap.
What's Gap for people around the world?
A Greyhound adoption program that's associated with Greyhound racing. So Greyhound Safety Net at the time was probably one of the only ones. And then there were other ones popping up like afterwards. So then I was looking into other ones and I saw this Racing to Rehome, which was started 2017. And I thought, oh, that their website seemed, you know, pretty good looking, and they even like sell Greyhound gears and stuff. So I thought, oh, maybe we'll give this one a go and see what happens. So we actually contacted Racing to Rehome first. But we were waiting for them to get back to us.
Oh yeah, that's right. It took a while, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So we're like, oh, do we call them? Do we not? Like, we don't want to be one of those, like, you know, really impatient people, just chasing after people's butt, just like, oh, have you received it? Have you received it? Like, what's going on?
They're volunteers, so you don't want to be like, hey,
you don't want
to look at my email.
So we were like, oh, maybe they were just too busy or something. We can look at other ones. So then we contacted Greyhound Safety Net, and pretty much like the same day, was it? Like just after a few hours.
Yeah.
The main person, Julie from Greyhound Safety Net, just got back to JP and gave him a call and talked about Rex.
Yeah, just called me right back.
Yeah. So then she also gave the JP's number to the foster carer, and then the foster carer just pretty much was very communicative and just said, oh, I would, you know, call you at this time and text you at this time, and then we can organize like a meet and greet and see whether you like him. And that's how we met Rex. And I think maybe not long after we actually saw Rex, Greyhound Racing to Rehome got back to us. When we contacted them, we actually mentioned, oh, we're interested in these 2 dogs, but one's already gone and there was another one left, which was Rocket. So we were like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we should have a look. And yeah, that's how we sort of targeted these 2 dogs.
Yeah, and then became the whole thing of trying to organize for them to, you know, meet up, have them over at our place separately, just so we can see that both of them indeed don't mind us, don't mind the house, there's no instant problems. But yeah, both of them had their sleepovers and they were good, and then we had them meeting up and eventually them both over, and it was on that final night where we were like, we have them both over, and then we're just like, yeah, I guess we'll take them. And then yeah, we just did all the paperwork, and well, they haven't gone anywhere else now. They've gone places, but just with us, because they love getting in the car. Well, they love being in the car. Rocket doesn't really jump into it, but he doesn't mind being in it.
We didn't do sleepovers with Rocket, but with Rex we did, just because the foster carer really wanted to make sure Rex was suitable. So she was really driving so far to drop Rex off like on different occasions.
Or
either
long distance driving.
Yeah, either it's like just a few hours just to see whether, or just to get familiar with our house, or like for a sleepover here, for another visit there. She was so lovely, and I really didn't expect her to be so like involved in the whole process. But I think like being stuck in a foster family for 6 months is not very common in terms of...
No, because the problem is they start to think that that is their family. Like, that's where they're going to be. I mean, why would they be thinking otherwise, you know? Especially he hasn't seen anyone else, so he's not thinking, oh, I'm meeting lots of people. He's just staying there.
So, like, the foster carer is really worried that he was going to be deeply affected emotionally if suddenly, the whole accommodation situation's changed, and
she was gone, and he's left with us. Two strangers,
Yeah.
essentially, in comparison to his foster carer. But turns out he's an absolute champ and can handle pretty much anything.
I think he just really, really loves human. Obviously, it's a bonus if you're not there for a bit, but there's another canine friend to keep him company. But ultimately, he loves people. Even when you walk him, that's Rex, the big one. He wants attention from all the passerbys. He'll try to sniff their hand and get them to pat him. He's just so lovely. He's just big though. He's really big.
He's a very big boy. So not everyone wants to pet him because they're like, holy moly, that's a giant black dog. Even though all he wants is pats.
Yeah. Simple knees for this gentle giant.
I'm making lots of mistakes, but it's a heavy miniature, so it's hard to hold.
I'm just having trouble stabbing the fabric. Oh gosh.
Oh, look at... Oh.
Again?
Oh, I just got it all over the brown. Let's see if I can get rid of some. But
Wow, you're just showing them how good...
this is how you don't paint a catapult.
And this is how you don't stitch. Oh, jeez. We're so good at this.
Hobby with us... Not like this.
Hobby with us, what not to do.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta show it.
So yeah, what have we done in terms of having 2 dogs? Like, what advice would you give? Because we've been given some pretty good tips, especially when we had that like trial meetup with both Rex and Rocket. It was at a third party's house.
Yeah, so no one was really feeling like that was their house. That was pretty good.
And she was like helping us every step of the way.
Yeah, because she was an experienced fosterer, so she kind of knew what signs to look for if they didn't like each other.
Yeah, so the first thing was we would go out for a short walk. It was quite warm that day.
With muzzles.
Yeah, with muzzles. So she provided the muzzles, and she said make sure they don't really sniff each other too much, like not interact.
Let's just walk.
Yeah. And she was just making sure that as long as during the walk, like they were not annoyed by each other, they just focus on the walk.
Yeah, because the sign is that they're fixated on each other rather than on the walk, because the walk itself should be sufficiently exciting that they don't really care about the other guy there.
So yeah, they passed that test, and then after the walk, they were just chilling in her backyard.
With muzzles on.
With muzzle. Well, originally with...
for about 5 minutes.
Maybe, because on the walk, they were wearing the metal muzzle. And then when we got to her place in the backyard, she was hoping to change it to the plastic ones. But maybe the plastic ones weren't like well fitted or something, so both of them really hated it. And then she just said, don't worry about it. And then she was just getting them to like randomly interact. first without any triggers. Then she said, "Oh, let's spice it up a bit." Then she was using some kind of toy to get them to be really excited to see whether they would so-called fight if I guess this is like a high value thing that both of them might want. Rocket ended up like growling at Rex just a little bit, and then Rex just backed off.
Yeah, because Rocket's already got the toy.
Yeah.
He'd won the run because they were playing fetch. And I was like, who gets the toy? And Rocket won, and then Rex came up to try and take it from him, and Rocket's like, no.
Yeah.
But,
and Rex was fine.
It was a fine growl. And it's also the idea that they respect each other enough to not ignore that and then continue.
Yeah. So she said, oh, you know, nothing is 100% certain, but from what she could see, they should be okay. There was no red light of any sort. But yeah, she did say maybe like separate feeding. You need to make sure, like, you know, they have dedicated bowls. Also, when you give bones, which is pretty much what they value the most, you need to make sure they're definitely separated. You might have to take turns. What else did she say? I can't remember.
Well, just watch when you give them toys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we do.
So yeah, that's how we, I guess, made sure that they should be okay together. And then we, like originally we adopted, like we did all the paperwork for Rocket first, because apparently Rocket had a lot of people signing up to meet. But because we've had a greyhound before, so we got put into priority.
We got special treatment.
We got special treatment, yeah. And they said if you don't like get Rocket soon, then we might have to move.
Which is fair enough. They need to get the dogs through so they can get the fosters new dogs, because they're rescuing dogs like every month, every week.
Yeah, there are a lot of dogs that need help, unfortunately. So we're like, okay, we'll get Rocket first, and Rex, foster carer was like, oh, do you want Rex to come so they can, you know, sleep together for a night and you see how they get along? And we did that, and she was like, well, if Rex was good, then you could keep him forever. And that's what happened after the first night.
Yeah, he was a very good boy. Both of them.
Yeah, originally we wanted to get Rocket first and then get him to get used to us for a week. Then we'll do Rex's paperwork and, you know, adopt Rex officially. But it just so happened that we pretty much got them at the same time.
Jumped right in there.
We did. Like right in the middle of things. And it worked out okay. I think they were pretty good with food, yeah?
Yeah, no craziness with food.
No. The only thing in the first week was, I think Rocket was fed like pretty raw diet by his foster family before, and we didn't really do that with him because we just gave whatever we were used to with Amy, but he still ate it, but his gut couldn't handle it. So I think he was having a lot of gut trouble, and he ended up. You probably can hear the big dog.
No, probably not. Not until he starts barking.
That's true. Sometimes it happens. Anyways, yeah. So he had a few like loose bowel motions at home, in the morning. I think it's in the morning, because when you went down before work, yeah. Was there for a while already. So we're just trying to address that problem, trying different foods, and then eventually we found, I think we've found that sweet spot. And Rex never really had a problem. And both of them, well, aside from Rocket's like loose bowel motions, they didn't really have any like urination accidents at home at all, so they're really
yeah, that's more what I was expecting.
Yeah. So overall, they're like pretty low maintenance. But I do notice with two boys, especially one rather large, the food expense definitely went up by many folds. Because with Amy, we just somehow got away with feeding her once a day, and she was fine. But with these two, definitely twice a day, and a bit towards the raw diet side. So yeah, a bit more money, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, with Amy, raw diet was a bit more of a supplement kind of thing.
Yeah, like
whereas with these guys, it's like we have to make sure we have chicken eggs all the time.
Oh, they love chicken eggs. The crunch.
Oh, they love the crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're good.
And a few weeks ago, when JP got home, they well, you should say it because you saw it firsthand and you told me about it.
Well, I came home on a night where I normally would go out and do wushu, so my martial arts. I normally do that after work. Here he comes. And yeah, get home and I found out that they had a few cuts and abrasions on each other. Both of them.
Please don't bump into me. Watch it.
That's just this is why. That's alright. I'll pat him.
Yeah, Rocket just came over for pats, possibly because he might be hungry. He, like, controversially, he's a lot smaller than Rex, so he might. Well, we went to the vet recently, and I think Rocket's probably like 30 kilos. Rex is almost 40, maybe slightly skinnier now. I don't know, but Rocket might eat more than Rex. We're pretty much feeding them the same amount, like slightly different varieties. But yeah, I think Rocket definitely can eat. Like, he has a huge appetite.
He eats a lot. Anyway, so what happened? The story.
Yes.
I come home. They have scrapes on each other. One particular scrape was nasty on Rocket. It was a bit of skin missing on the inside of his elbow. Just a little bit. I thought it was quite little. But then by the time Karina got home, she's like, actually, that's quite a bit.
Because JP told me, oh, it's like a thumbnail. I was like, oh, thumbnail? Oh, that's not too bad. And when I saw, it was definitely considerably larger than a thumbnail, I have to say.
Well, anyway, we didn't take him to the vet. Maybe we should have, because he might have been able to get it stitched up. We went with bandaging, and the bandaging, after a week, I took him to the vet anyway, just to make sure that we hadn't done something wrong.
No, not a week, like maybe 3 days.
And no, she said it was fine. It wasn't infected, the bandaging was sufficient. Just don't walk him. And we're like, oh, this guy's 2.5. Don't think he will be happy if Rex goes out for a walk and he stays at home. But in any case, we kept on bandaging. But this little bugger, he over the days, he figured out how to start taking it off. Because yeah, what probably caused this is just them running around and having a tumble. Because everything just looked like scrapes and abrasions. So I think they tumbled a bit, maybe on the concrete, as they were sprinting around, as greyhounds are wont to do. And they haven't really gotten used to the backyard yet, so they must have sprinted around too sharp, or maybe a harder turn, and just clattered all over. Anyway, so we had to keep replacing the bandage because he was starting to figure out how to take it off. He was getting very cheeky.
Oh wow, we would think, okay, we bandaged pretty tight, but then he could use his hind leg to scratch off the bandage that's above the elbow, and then
it's wrapping around his elbow. And you know how dogs scratch their neck? You know, they sit down and they scratch the neck with their back leg. Well, imagine you're using that to scratch your elbow. And yes, he couldn't get this bandage off with his teeth or licking or anything like that. But if he used that kind of force, well, nothing can hold that back, because I mean, it's bloody his hind legs. They're the most powerful things he's got.
And then because of that like scratching habit, now he had another cut, like right on the elbow, like in the elbow.
Yeah, exactly, because he's scratching himself. It's not. Anyway, long story short, we had a cone of shame lying around from when Amy had dislocated her toe. We didn't
Twice.
want to use twice, yes. We didn't want to use the cone of shame because we just got this dog and we didn't want to make him hate us. But in the end, we thought, all right, let's put the cone of shame on. Generally, the main reason people are hesitant about any cones is some dogs really go nuts, apparently, when you put it on them. You know, Amy wasn't too bad with it, but she didn't like it.
But
I mean, no
she
dog
was
likes
pretty
it.
depressed, yeah.
And so we were just like, oh no, this is a new dog. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna go nuts? And so we put it on, and it turns out he's very chill. He bumps into all kinds of things, but I think it's just because he's trying to make a point. It's just like, you put this on me, so now I'm going to just bump into all your shit.
And he'll literally use the cone to walk into your legs, so you buckle a little bit. Oh wow,
and he'll use it to push Rex out of the way. He's figured it out. He's figured out how to use this thing. But you know, ever since we used that, then it's been healing really well.
And today he dodged, but normally when you grab the cone and trying to put it on his head, he doesn't really dodge, so he'll just, sadly accept it.
Yeah, so initially we needed to put bandages on just to keep it healing, but now that it's gotten quite small, we don't really need the bandage. And so as long as he's got the cone on, he's not doing anything to it. It's just sitting there healing. And we have antiseptic creams and stuff like that. So making sure it doesn't get infected. But otherwise, it's healing quite well.
Yeah. So the vet actually gave instruction that we need to change the bandage every 2 days. And what ended up happening, because he was so nifty, even with the cone, we did twice a day.
Yeah, we ended up changing the bandage twice just because he took it off. And the way he would take it off is he'd damage all the bandage sufficiently that you couldn't really use much of it again. And so, yeah, we're going through bandage supplies like crazy. So, yeah, changing to the cone was not only a sensible thing to do, but it also cost effective.
But also, we have established that I am much better at bandage than JP.
Farina's bandaging generally at least lasts the night. It lasts the day. Lasting the night is actually the harder thing, because the problem is he rolls around so much.
And the bed that he likes is very fluffy, so it the bandage kind of sticks to the bed, the fluffiness of the bed, and then when he kind of shifts and moves, it just comes off.
Yeah, I don't think he does that on purpose. I think it just comes off because he's lying in bed and rubbing it against as he changes position or gets up or wriggles.
Comfy.
Anyway, it just comes off. So it's usually in the morning that I come down and go, oh. And that's kind of annoying, because in the morning I'm rushing to work, or trying to rush, but if I have to sit down there and spend 20 minutes reapplying a bandage. But anyway, we're past that now, which is good. But it as with all healthcare stuff, you always have to get through a certain period of not easy things. You got to get through the recovery. So yeah, that's why he was making a lot of noise as he was moving around, is because he's got this kind of shame on.
And he walks with his head swinging.
Yeah, his head swings side to side. He's got a swagger. Small dog swagger,
I feel like I want to talk about something, but I forgot.
Something else apart from dogs, or what?
No. It's part of the dog as well. Oh yeah. So with Amy really hated the car. So we were worried, what if these two dogs cannot handle car trips. I don't know, we were just kind of scarred by how
Amy really hated the car.
Oh my god, resentful,
panting, panicking. Anyway, we only took her in the car if we absolutely had to.
Yeah. But these two dogs were pretty chill, especially Rex. When Rex could, he would just jump straight in like a lightning bolt. Whereas Rocket's not so willing, because I think in his mind he can't get so high up, but he can.
Oh, Rocket can jump like a whippet, straight up. He could probably go as tall as me if he really wanted to jump. But unfortunately, he doesn't apply this to real world situations. We've seen him jump over things like he's flying, and we're like, holy moly, this dog can jump. And then we're like, jump into the car.
No.
Jump into the car, and he's like, that's quite high. And it's like, Rex did it, and Rex is 5 years old.
No, but Rex is also considerably bigger.
He is bigger, but he's overweight.
Oh, come on. Shh. You don't talk about people's weight, okay?
Don't talk about dogs' weights.
No.
No.
We might get a bit. But anyway, so JP had to lift Rocket up to get into the car. But like in the car, as long as they figure out how they want to sit, maybe on top of each other or one stands or something, as long as they figure that out, they're actually okay.
Yeah.
Pretty calm in the car.
They're just going to play Tetris for a bit.
Yes.
But there's plenty of room in there for them. We put down the seats, and they sit down on these nice travel beds. So there's plenty of room and comfort. It's just they got to figure out how they want to arrange themselves next to each other, because that's the logistics. There's 2 dogs. There's lots of legs. Where do they put them all?
And 2 big butts.
Yes, 2 big butts.
And now there's a cone of shame as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what we do is we kind of let them sit first without the cone on, and then we put the cone on, because he will just lick it while he's sitting in the car. They're so chill. He'll just be like, all right, I'm just going to start licking it, and we can't be watching him while I'm driving, and Farina might be using the GPS or something, so we just put the cone on.
So yeah, they're pretty chill in the car, and also they are very sociable. They were like really okay with other greyhounds.
We've taken them on quite a few greyhound walks around now. Where have we gone to? We've gone to twice to the botanical gardens in Berwick. So if you've never been to it, it's very nice.
I don't think it's a good idea to talk about.
What, Berwick?
Anyways.
That's really far away. So we've gone all the way to the Berwick Botanical Gardens. And then there's the Joel's Park one as well, which is we just went to today, and geez, that's got 50 it must have been 50 greyhounds.
I don't know. I've never seen so many greyhounds ever in my life. It was so epic. Wow. I was super impressed. I think even the person that organized it said today had so many. She was surprised.
Yeah.
And you see all the shapes and sizes and colors with like different like bunny ears or something, just like...
Oh yeah, it's Easter, so everyone was putting some effort into costumes for their greyhounds. There was some...
So cool.
But yeah, even with 50 greyhounds all around them, the boys were very sociable. They were nice. They didn't grumble whatsoever. They sniffed butts. They had their butts sniffed. It was... Yeah, they enjoyed themselves. And we went... There's a cafe there at the Gels Park one, so we went, got coffees, and yeah, it was very pleasant. The walk itself is not very long, as what we're used to, but that's okay.
Yeah, so we're just really happy that we get to take the dogs and socialize with other people. And we even took the dogs to my best friend's place that's really, really far away, like completely different direction from where we live, and with like windy roads and stuff, and even like in a completely different environment, in her house. I've never been. The dogs were really chill as well. Like obviously they were very curious, so they wanted to explore everywhere, but
they were not destructive.
No.
They were very polite.
Yep. They wanted pets. They were like sniffing around. No peeing accidents. I was worried that they might get onto the couch, but they didn't, because they listened to the no. And when we were eating, even though the dogs were probably hungry, eventually they just relaxed and, just slept next to us. Didn't beg much. Wow, I think JP and I were definitely like really, really proud parents after that.
Yeah, they did a good job of just chilling out and knowing that, they're going to get their walks, they're going to get fed. I mean, we did take them for a little mini walk around the area, but we still took them for a proper walk when we got home.
So yeah, these are really, really nice dogs. And I hope if you're considering getting a dog, you could consider adopting a greyhound. Well, first of all, consider adopting than buying, unless you have like hyperallergy or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you really need a certain kind of dog, like your Labradoodles, then yeah. But not everyone needs Labradoodles. They've got plenty of love.
Yeah, there are so many dogs out there that just need a home and need people's attention and need to be looked after, and they will return the favor like thousandfold. You really don't need to get a puppy from
From breeders.
Yeah. I mean, I get the novelty. You want to bond with them from like the start, and you can train them and stuff. Yeah, that's all wonderful, but what about the doggies that are really nicely tempered and
Just haven't had much luck.
Yeah. So I hope you could consider adopting, and if you are considering adopting, you can consider adopting a greyhound, because most of them are really, really, really nice dogs. Just give them a chance.
Yes, they're very nice. Oh, I've got a lot of metal to paint. Jeez, I've just been non-stop painting all this etchings of metal.
It's a metal model. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, I'm painting metal on metal.
Yeah,
what am I doing? Why did I even paint it? Could just put it down bare. No, it wouldn't look good. Lots of mistakes to fix up, but that's okay. I'm using a nice big brush because I want to be fast. I could try and be exact, but I'll just clean it up in post. Yeah.
Well, JP's got a colleague that apparently is really good at painting, and JP sometimes gets some pointers from him. And I think it's been helpful.
He's been on battle reports.
Yes.
Battle report number 1, all the way back at the start. He has a very pretty army, and yeah, he sometimes will be like, "Oh, I'm gonna paint."
Oh,
this.
you mean the other couple from Couple of Dabblers?
Oh yeah. It was funny when we got a shout out by another YouTube channel. They're like, "Couple of Dabblers," which involves this guy and this guy. It's like, not that kind of couple, but sure.
Yeah, that guy's nice though.
Yes, the Death by Dragons channel is manned by a very nice man.
And turns out he is pretty good looking too. Mm.
Oh, okay.
Always a bonus.
I'm sure we'll be happy to hear that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Death by Dragons.
Give compliments.
A looker.
When they're due.
Exactly. Well, is my wife might be watching this. Gotta be careful, Felina.
What? So when you're married, you can't compliment on people's looks?
I don't know. Have you seen? There's a video thumbnail of his wife with a giant sword.
Mm.
It's because he won a sword because he won a tournament a few years ago.
Well, we have 3 cleavers at home. It's all good.
That's true. All right. So you're saying the fight's on? Florina the chopper. Getting 2 cleavers out.
Oh yeah.
Watch out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my hands are getting tired. It's so heavy.
Well, you're the one that chose to paint this model in the video.
It has to get painted eventually.
Okay.
It has to get painted eventually. So might as well paint it in the video. It pushes me to do it. Because it's not the most exciting model. Because it is just lots of wood and lots of metal. And I'll paint some of this metal colour. And I'll paint some of it a bit goldish, like bronze.
Metalception.
But that's about as fun as it can get, unfortunately. And then I've got I'll show off some of the basing I did here. So obviously this thing's got wheels, and so I hope you can appreciate that what I've done is I've put furrows in the ground because the whole army is supposed to be in swampy, marshy terrain. So obviously something this heavy moving through a swamp would put furrows in the ground where it rolls along. So that's what I've done there. Hopefully, I think it looks pretty cool. I just literally took a brush and just kind of smooshed it down on either side and just like, there we go. But yeah, so I've got to paint this as well and cover it and stuff. But just swampy colours. So it's all browns, silver and greeny browns for the swamp. So it's
boring.
It is boring to paint. Definitely not like fun characters or demons with fire and things like that. But I've painted so many of them, I don't mind. Something a little bit boring, I guess. I just keep complaining.
So how long would a model that size take you to paint?
like this catapult,
Ah.
for probably about this particular one, since it's so few variation in colours, it'll probably take me about 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, I was like imagining like days, but probably days because you just paint like 1 hour a day or something.
Yeah, it will take me days, but if I were to sit down non-stop and paint, which I very rarely do, 6 to 8 hours I reckon. Just because I will have to put so few colours onto my paint palette, and then I'll just be mixing them together. So I'll just be going from this gunmetal silver, which is a pretty average kind of silver, to brighter, and then I'll wash it and make it look grimy. So yeah.
The dogs are just like sleeping in the same area, and they're so well behaved.
Yeah, you can't really hear them apart from when they walked around a bit. They're very well behaved dogs.
And we didn't really do much. We disciplined them a little, but it's really just
You make it sound like we discipline them, like we do something, like disciplining the verb.
As in,
like corporal punishment.
No, but you kind of teach them like, oh, you can't beg.
We've taught them manners.
Yes, and like also like no couch, like just the different things.
We've also taught them how to be calm by making them very excited to get onto their beds. We do, like, obviously, most dogs, most breeds are actually capable of sitting where they are, but greyhounds are incapable of actually just sitting on their butts.
Maybe their butts are too big, I don't know.
The butts are just so bony and just muscle and bone, so it's very rare that you'll find a greyhound that will actually just sit on command. So it's hard to do things like most of obedience training classes are like, oh, start off by making your dog... Anyway, so what we've done is when they're at their beds, we teach them, when they're particularly excited, with a treat, we get them to sit down, and then they get their treat on their bed. And for them, sitting down, is lying down. So they lie down on their beds. I'm going to go turn off those Facebook notifications.
Mm-hmm.
I apologise to my viewers.
Oh.
Don't get up, Rocket. No, I'm not going anywhere.
Rocket suddenly got really excited because JP got up. I'm thinking maybe he's hungry.
It is about that time.
Yeah, it's like almost 6:15 in the afternoon. I mean, do you say in the afternoon? Evening?
It's not afternoon when you get past 6.
Evening. Okay.
It's 6:10 in the evening. Oh, hello.
Please don't bump my camera.
Yeah, the prince with his cone will bump all kinds of things, including, they knock the camera right off.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm back. Okay, get back to bed.
Good boy.
Alright. I'm back. Let's give this brush a good wash. This brush, this is an awesome brush. Unfortunately, it comes in a pack of 5. So
Different sizes.
Yeah, but the only one I care about is this one. Which is fine, because the pack costs $10. So $10 a brush is still a very good deal. But look, it has such volume, but it can really get to quite the point. I know this is after a lot of usage and stuff, so it still forms a good point.
JP, you need to learn from the brush. Get to the point.
Get to the point. I'm just saying, this is a great brush, because you can get a lot of paint onto it. It soaks up a lot, and then you can get a lot of time. And the only thing you can't really do with it is definitely not eyes, or something like that. But most of this detail I'm doing with reasonable success. Not 100% success, but...
Reasonable success.
Yeah. Like, I'll have to go touch it up with some brown, but...
But maybe that's user errors, rather than the...
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure someone with more hand control than me would have 100% success rate using this brush. And it's synthetic. Because I don't know that you're not supposed to use metal paints on, like, sable or real hair brushes. It doesn't say that on the bottle. I just found out when I was listening to a YouTuber. They're just like, oh, yeah, as everyone knows, don't put washes and metallic paints on your sable brushes. And I was like, oh, well, that's probably why my sable brushes are not doing so well. And so ever since then, I've stopped doing that. But yeah, I feel like it should be on the bottle somewhere. But anyway, you live and learn.
I wonder, like for people who have partners, do you hobby with your partners, or like do your partners tolerate or even love what you do, or like how do you?
Well, I know some people just hang out together. One does the one thing, like we do. I know there's cases of that. But then I know I got other friends that just they have their whole painting station in the garage, and they just go off and
Ooh.
paint in the garage.
Ooh.
Run out of battery.
Yeah, I think so. Wow, that was a bit like.
Seizure warning.
Yeah, sorry. They're scary.
Is that what it does when it runs out of battery?
I didn't know.
No,
I mean, this was the first time I properly used it.
Well, it worked quite well, I think, at its job. It just wasn't charged adequately.
No, it wasn't. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but I know some people just go paint in other areas. I don't know about Stitches going to the garage to paint. To stitch. That would be a bit weird. But maybe you have a stitching corner.
Yeah.
All by your lonesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm so alone, like all my stuff is shoved in a corner. Most of them really like having a corner and being left alone, because then no one can destroy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I hear people complaining about like, oh, my dog chewed my threads or something, because I left it like on the table. So it's better if you have a corner and you can just put everything there, and only you technically have access to it, and you can just like shut your animals out.
Animals being human and...
Yes, like human husband or something.
Yep. Husband running around with power tools, or...
Oh, yeah.
Or kids running around with the lollipops. That'll stick nicely onto your cross stitch.
Yeah, imagine they're like, eating something and their hands are filthy and they want to touch what you work on. Wow, I've heard stuff like that, and it's devastating, to be honest. So yeah. Or like they use their scissors and cut a hole in your project. You don't want
Really? You've heard of that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Things happen.
Which adoption centre did those kids go to?
No comments.
It'd be hard to want to keep them. Jeez. But I'm joking. That's looking pretty cool. Jeez, but look at all the metal detail on it. It's a bit excessive. Like normal, modern orcs and goblins wouldn't go to this degree. Well, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of enjoying it.
I remember you told me like at one point the metals were like really unpopular, but you know, it's like everything, all trends, it always comes back.
Oh yeah, people really, when metal was all you could get, people were like, oh, why can't everything be plastic? But now there's people are looking back at metal and going, you know what, that was pretty good. And small companies do a lot with metal, because metal is so easy to work with in terms of getting everything going. I mean, now 3D printing helps as well, but even compared to 3D printing, I think metal is actually still quite a bit cheaper. Yeah. Oh, looking pretty good. Wash the brush again.
I think that's it.
That's it to talk about? Well, it's alright. We can just...
My lighting situation is pretty bad right now without
I think with the light turning off, we might have to stop it there. Because don't want to damage your eyes. Your eyes are already a bit sore. So, yeah, we'll stop there. Well, you want to show off what you achieved? What did you achieve?
I don't really know. I think roughly here. Is it? I'm just gonna say yes, it's here.
That's pretty good. Well, I just did lots of metal. I mean, look at it. There's panels, all the stuff on the front. The wheels. Oh, the wheels gave me the most grief, because you got to get that thin line around the edge, which I shouldn't be using such a big brush for, but I did well on that wheel, and then on this side I bloody stuffed it up, so I'll have to come back with some brown and fix that all up. But I think I'm almost done with all the metal. Just need to do a bit more up here. This hand will be skin coloured, so it'll look gross. And this will, I just got to do the counterweight here. So once all those are done, then yeah, I can tidy up and get working on the base. Obviously highlighting stuff, but I'll put down, I've got Death Guard green that I'll put on this base here, and then mix in lots of browns and stuff. So yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Please.
I think so obviously this is the end of the video. Let us know in the comment section if we were to do another one, like, you know, in weeks, months time. I don't know. What would you want us to talk about?
Good idea. Talking topics. What would you like to hear us say?
Or what would you like us to work on? Or we just start a poll. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, a poll might be better as well. No, who knows who got to the end of this video, but if you did, you can put that in the comments. What would you like us to talk about? Otherwise, we'll put a poll up.
Yep.
All right. Night, everybody.
Bye.